everyone, it's Jessica. I'm really excited to be back with a layout for you today. I have quite a few pictures, 7 in fact, that I want to include on today's one-page layout. And I'm going to use 2 different sized flip flaps from my Close to My Heart stash in order to make that happen. So I got a 4x4 and a 4x6, but this is the sketch that I found on my Pinterest board that I thought would work out well with the sized photos that I have. It was designed by Cheryl Even from the Split Coast Stampers. Now, when I went through and cut down my papers and was pulling papers from my stash all over, I had this blue one that I really wanted to use, but it was already cut. So I did a little bit of surgery to it just to try to make it look like one piece. I think by the time my photo goes over the top and I add some embellishments, that one cut right there is not really going to be all that noticeable. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of lay these out and see how I did picking out a sketch to go with my photos here. These are some pictures of my daughter on an outing with her Girl Scout troop several years ago, and we were at this local like nature place that we have in town, and the people there bring out like snakes and turtles and cockroaches and all sorts of like creepy crawly kinds of things, and the girls got to look at them and touch them and hold them. So it was not really my cup of tea, but the girls definitely loved it. So here I decided to deviate from the sketch just a little bit because that bottom paper was supposed to be layered underneath, but I didn't really like the way that looks. So I'm just going to kind of scoot them apart and butt them together in the middle. And then, I don't know, I kind of thought about switching out my paper at the bottom. I really liked this pattern here. And these are all some papers from my Hip Kit Club collections that I have accumulated over the last year. I loved this gray one. And so I thought maybe I would swap that out, that white paper instead, and just kind of use a pattern. The problem is when I layered my photo over the top, I didn't like the way it was covering up the rows of the flowers on that pattern paper. It just looked kind of weird to me down there at the bottom. So you'll see as I move forward on this layout that I do kind of play around with that bottom photo just a bit, trying to make that particular pattern paper work. So here I have turned it on an angle. I thought maybe that would be a way around it. I don't end up leaving it that way, but that was my idea at this point. And then I also pulled out my circle dies because I thought maybe I could visualize this a little bit better once I get some of those other pieces in there like it shows in the sketch. So I will definitely cut out that circle from the white cardstock instead. And then I am going to edge distress the all of my papers here with a little bit of charcoal colored ink. I just really loved this particular pattern paper. I thought it was fun, but it was still kind of a neutral color, and I thought that it helped the purple and the teal really kind of pop off the page. So I actually cut a couple of additional circles here. I thought if I'm going to have one circle, maybe I will introduce a few others into the layout as well. And so here I'm just kind of arranging, how can I make sure I see those flowers on that pattern paper, but still have enough of that circle that's tucked behind showing as a place for my title. So I used some alphabet dies that I actually also got from Hip Kit Club sometime last year. I've had them for quite a while. And I used them to cut out the words Formar, which is the name of the nature preserve where we were. And I'm going to put those over that circle for the title. And then just kind of tuck a few other circles here and there. So I'm going to put a little one up above this top photo. And then because that 4x6 photo on the left-hand side is going to be in a flip flap, I thought it would be fun to use another circle as like a little lift or like tab for kind of pulling that up off of the page once I put it into my album. So here I'm just gluing down those letters. I did cut them out twice, so I have just a smidge of dimension, but not a whole lot. And they fit perfectly on that circle. So I was really excited about the fact that the name of it was really short so I could make it work. Now, this one 4x6 flip flap I did put down to the page, but the one that I'm going to do for my 4x4 photos, I'm going to actually put that directly to my page protector once I get it on my album. Just because of the way that those letters were right above it, I thought that it would kind of interfere with things, and it'll be a lot easier to stick it to the outside of my page protector. Now here I'm taking one of the branding strips that came off of the pattern papers I was using, and I'm just going to stick it one up top, and then I'm going to slide a shorter piece down here at the bottom. I realized once I knew I wanted to do that I was covering up that little circle that I had tucked up there, which that was fine. I went digging through the trash actually and found the other half of the circle that I had cut off of it. And I'm just going to put the other half right on top of where the original one had been. That way I still have that up there. And so that worked out pretty well. And then I went through, so many different months of my Hip Kit clubs just to kind of pull out a bunch of different embellishments. So I've got things here from like January and March and I don't know, just like all over the place. I have so many embellishments. I love my Hip Kit Club kits because they are just chock full of things. Like I don't know how I'll ever use everything that I get from them. It's amazing. So I'm kind of focusing on some florals and anything that was bug-like in nature. Since in the one photo, she's holding a snake, there's a turtle. But like I said, they also had things like hissing cockroaches and I don't know what. So I thought this was like the perfect chance to kind of pull in the creepy crawly things like the butterflies and the little bugs and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of layering a few of those die cuts around. I like this purple butterfly because it really plays off of that purple pattern paper that the page is built upon. So I kind of like that one there above the title. And then I tried really hard to make these little bright green bugs work because I thought if I don't use them here on this page, I don't know when I'll ever use them. Maybe I will sometime, I don't know, but they just seemed so perfect for the page. And yet anywhere I put them, they just didn't feel quite right. So I try a bunch of times on those green bugs to make them work, but they really don't work at all. Instead, I kind of settled on this really pretty moth. I'm not sure what it is, if it's a moth or a butterfly. And I actually had two identical ones. So I think what I'm going to do is attach one to the top of that flip flap and then kind of flip the other one upside down and attach it to the underside. And that way, when you lift up that flip flap, you see the same die cut image on both sides, just to kind of make it two-sided. So that worked out pretty well. And then I also found that cute little green tree that I am going to layer behind the title and the butterfly. And like I said, I just kind of spent some time going through these embellishments that I pulled from several different months of my kits, just trying to find things that worked. I love that the colors are all similar enough that it didn't matter that they came from different collections. It all just kind of worked. Okay, so now I've got, like I said, I'm going to really try to get that bug in there, but I can't make it work. I tried replacing my butterfly with him. I don't know. In retrospect, he looks cute. He's okay there, but I do definitely like the purple of the butterfly a little bit better. Then I also had those puffy stickers, so I'm going to try really hard to get a bunch of those onto the page, but I think I end up with only like one or two. And so here, as you can see, I put that moth on so that it's double-sided, and I've got the other things glued down. So now when I'm turning to those puffy stickers, I'm looking for other little bugs, butterflies, things of that nature, and I do just get a couple of them down. One of them I think is a tiny little flower, and I put it in the center of one of the flowers down here by my little journaling spot. And then I also have this little phrase sticker. So I just kind of get those scattered around the page. While I'm finishing up the embellishments on this page, I will just share with you that I am so happy to be back making videos for you, scrapbooking. I really got so busy there at the end of the spring and the school year that I just didn't even have time to scrapbook at all, let alone scrapbook and turn something into a video. And I felt like I lost my scrapbooking mojo. I was making a few cards, but really I think only 1 or 2 pages in the last 2 months, which is very much unlike me. And I am officially out of school now, and I am already so excited to just get a whole bunch of pages done. So I thank you for kind of sticking around and, following me, even though I haven't really had a lot coming out lately, but I'm excited to get some more videos done for you. Now here I'm looking at that sketch and I see that it does have a couple of spots on the page where there are some lines, and I am of course going to add those in with some stitching because that's one of my favorite things to do. So I just put some coming up from that butterfly, and then I'm going to go in the opposite direction and actually add some to that little circle that I have coming out from under the flip flap. I thought that would be kind of fun to have a little bit of stitching underneath of that moth so you can see some of it when the flip flap is closed. And then I wanted to put it in a third spot on the page, but I didn't really want to add any more lines. So I just did 4 little holes here that I'm going to do an X through the side of my journaling spot just to get a little bit more thread down there. And you can see here where I've just done a regular back stitch and then that X, and I've added one more of those puffy stickers there. Yep, and that'll be. So if you have ever used a flip flap before, there are a couple of ways to put those down. Like I said, I put the one down directly to my page, and what I'm going to do when I go to put this into my scrapbooking album is I'm going to cut a slit through the page protector and then feed that flip flap through. So it'll still be on the outside of the page protector, and then whoever is looking at the book can still open it and see what is underneath. The other way of doing it is to attach that flip flap directly to the outside of the page protector, which is what I'll do for that 4x4 photo. Like I said, just because the way that it would have, butted up to that title and the letters would have really made it kind of funky and awkward. So this will really be my top photo here. I just don't have it on there now because it's not in the album. But that's it. That's the finished layout. Like I said, so excited to be back into scrapbooking. I think I have already more than doubled the number of pages I have done in the one day I have been off on summer break that I have done in the last month. So that is really exciting. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you guys have been inspired, and I will see you very soon. All right, guys, happy crafting. Bye.